The contract sat on the glass table like a death sentence. Zara Bennett's hands trembled as she stared at the words that would change her life forever. Marriage. 2 years. $500,000. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. This was insane. Completely insane. But Lily's face flashed in her mind, pale and weak in that hospital bed, and suddenly it didn't seem insane at all. It seemed like the only option left. Mrs. Huang sat across from her, perfectly composed in her Chanel suit, watching Zara with calculating eyes. The older woman had been Zara's client for 3 months. Zara had taken care of her after her hip surgery, never imagining that this professional relationship would lead to this moment, to this impossible proposition. My son needs a wife, Mrs. Huang had said 2 days ago, as casually as if she were discussing the weather. You need money. I believe we can help each other. Now, sitting in this luxury hotel suite, Zara felt like she was being sold. Because that's exactly what was happening, wasn't it? She was selling herself. Selling 2 years of her life to a man she'd never met. A paralyzed billionaire who needed a wife to satisfy his traditional grandfather's demands. A business transaction. Nothing more. You have 24 hours to decide, Mrs. Huang had said. Zara had used 23 of those hours trying to find another way. Any other way. She'd called every hospital, every charity, every program that might help with Lily's surgery costs. $200,000. It might as well have been $2 million. The answer was always the same. No, we can't help you. We're sorry. Such devastating words wrapped in polite professionalism. Her little sister was 16 years old and dying. A congenital heart defect that had suddenly worsened. Without surgery within the next month, Lily would die. The doctors had been clear about that. Crystal clear. Zara had raised Lily since she was 19, since the car accident that killed their parents and shattered their world. 5 years of working multiple jobs, of sacrificing everything, of being both sister and mother. She couldn't lose Lily. She wouldn't. So here she was, pen in hand, about to sign away her freedom. The ceremony is tomorrow, Mrs. Huang said, sliding another document across the table. Civil service. Quick and private. Kai prefers it that way. Kai Huang. Zara had Googled him obsessively. 32 years old. Tech genius. Self-made billionaire by 25. Then the accident 2 years ago. A car crash that left him paralyzed from the waist down and killed his best friend. After that, he disappeared from public life. No interviews. No photos. Just rumors of a reclusive, bitter man hiding in his mansion. What kind of wedding night awaited her with a man like that? The question made her stomach twist with anxiety. Mrs. Huang had assured her the marriage was purely for appearances. Separate lives. Separate bedrooms. Just show up for family events, play the loving wife, and after 2 years, walk away with enough money to secure Lily's future forever. It sounded simple. Too simple. What if he? Zara couldn't finish the sentence. Mrs. Huang's expression softened slightly. My son is many things, Miss Bennett. Bitter, angry, difficult. But he's not a monster. You'll have your own space. Your own life. He simply needs you to exist in his world occasionally. Zara looked down at the contract again. The words blurred together. Her whole body felt numb. Was she really going to do this? Could she do this? Then her phone buzzed. A text from Lily. How's the job interview going? Love you, sis. Job interview. That's what Zara had told her. She couldn't tell her baby sister the truth. Couldn't tell her that she was about to marry a stranger to save her life. Lily would never forgive her. Would never allow it. But Lily didn't get a choice. Not about this. Zara picked up the pen. Her hand shook so badly she could barely hold it steady. Where do I sign? Mrs. Huang pointed to multiple pages. Here. And here. Initial here. Sign here. Each signature felt like she was signing away a piece of herself. But with each one, she was also buying Lily more time. More life. That had to be worth it. That had to be enough. The surgery? Zara asked, her voice barely a whisper. Will be scheduled immediately. Dr. Sarah Chun at Stanford Medical. The best cardiac surgeon in the country. Your sister will have the finest care available. Mrs. Huang collected the signed documents with efficient movements. The first payment will be transferred to your account tonight. You'll move into Kai's estate tomorrow after the ceremony. Tomorrow. Less than 24 hours and her entire life would change. Zara felt like she was drowning, being pulled under by waves she couldn't fight. Can I ask you something? Zara said suddenly. Mrs. Huang raised an eyebrow. Of course. Why me? You could have found someone, anyone. Someone from your world. Why a caregiver? Why someone like me? For a moment, something almost like sadness crossed Mrs. Huang's face. Because you understand sacrifice, Miss Bennett. Because you know what it means to put someone else's needs before your own. And because I think, perhaps, you and my son are more alike than either of you realize. The next day passed in a blur. Zara told Lily she'd gotten a live-in position with a wealthy family. Great pay, room and board included. She'd be able to send money home. It wasn't entirely a lie. Lily hugged her tight. So happy, so proud. The guilt nearly suffocated Zara. The civil ceremony took 10 minutes. A sterile courthouse. A bored judge. Mrs. Huang and Kai's attorney as witnesses. And Kai, have you ever felt so desperate that you'd sell your soul to save someone you love? Drop a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe because what happens next will leave you absolutely speechless. Kai Huang sat in his wheelchair at the front of the courthouse, his back rigid, his face a mask of complete indifference. He didn't look at Zara when she entered, didn't acknowledge her presence at all. He wore an expensive black suit that probably cost more than Zara had earned in the past year. His dark hair was perfectly styled. His jaw was set in a hard line. He was handsome in a cold, untouchable way, like a marble statue, beautiful but lifeless. The judge asked if she took this man to be her husband. Zara's voice cracked when she said, "I do." Kai's response was flat, emotionless. No inflection, no feeling, just two words that bound them together legally if not in any other way. When the judge declared them married, Kai finally looked at her. His dark eyes were empty, completely empty, like looking into a void. Then he turned his wheelchair and left the room without a single word to his new wife. Zara stood there, frozen, a cheap gold band on her finger that felt like a shackle. Mrs. Huang touched her shoulder gently. Give him time. This isn't easy for him either. But it didn't feel like Kai was struggling. It felt like he simply didn't care. Like Zara was just another business transaction. Another item checked off his list. The thought made her feel smaller than she'd ever felt in her life. The drive to Kai's estate took 40 minutes. Zara sat alone in the back of a luxury car, watching the city give way to exclusive neighborhoods she'd only seen in magazines. Gates. Security. Mansions hidden behind walls and trees. This was a different world. A world she didn't belong to. A world that would never truly accept her. When they pulled up to Kai's property, Zara's breath caught. The house, if you could even call it that, was massive. Ultra-modern architecture. All glass and steel and sharp angles. It looked like something from a science fiction movie. Beautiful and cold and completely intimidating. A woman in her 50s stood at the entrance. Stern face. Perfect posture. She introduced herself as Ms. Park, the head of staff. Her tone was polite, but her eyes were cold. Judging. She looked Zara up and down like she was evaluating a piece of furniture and finding it lacking. "I'll show you to your room," Ms. Park said, not bothering to hide her disapproval. "Your room. Not the master suite. Not the place a wife would stay." Zara followed Ms. Park through halls that seemed to stretch forever. The house was stunning. Minimalist. Expensive. And absolutely devoid of warmth. No photos. No personal touches. Just cold perfection. The guest room was small compared to the rest of the house. Nice, certainly nicer than anywhere Zara had ever lived, but clearly separated from the main living spaces. Tucked away. Hidden. Like something you didn't want guests to see. "Mr. Huang expects you at dinner. 7 p.m. sharp. Don't be late." Ms. Park placed a schedule on the dresser. "These are the house rules. I suggest you familiarize yourself with them." Then she left, closing the door with a soft click that somehow felt like a prison cell locking. Zara sat on the edge of the bed and finally let herself feel everything she'd been holding back. Fear. Shame. Grief for the life she'd just given up. But also determination. She'd done this for Lily. She'd survive it for Lily. 2 years. She could endure anything for 2 years. Her phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. Lily's surgery was scheduled. 10 days from now. Dr. Chen's team. Everything arranged. Everything paid for. Zara closed her eyes and let the relief wash over her. This was worth it. Whatever happened, this was worth it. At 6:45, Zara changed into the only decent dress she owned. A simple navy blue dress she'd bought at a discount store 3 years ago. She looked at herself in the mirror. She didn't belong here. That much was obvious. But she was here anyway. She'd have to find a way to survive it. The dining room was enormous. A glass table that could seat 20 people. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking an infinity pool and the city lights beyond. And at the head of the table, Kai sat in his wheelchair, already eating, not bothering to wait for her. "You're early," he said without looking up. His voice was deep, controlled, with just a hint of an accent that suggested he'd spent time in Korea despite growing up in the States. "I didn't want to be late." Zara slid into the chair across from him, her heart pounding. This was their first real moment alone. Their first real interaction as husband and wife. Punctuality. How refreshing. The sarcasm in his tone was unmistakable. A staff member placed food in front of Zara. Expensive food. Food she couldn't even identify. She watched Kai struggle with his knife, his hands shaking slightly as he tried to cut his steak. The tremor was subtle but noticeable. A side effect of his injury, probably. He gritted his teeth, frustrated, his jaw clenching with the effort. Without thinking, Zara reached across the table. "Let me help." "Don't." The word cracked like a whip. Kai's eyes snapped up to meet hers, and they were filled with such rage that Zara jerked her hand back. "I don't need your pity. I don't need your charity. I don't need anything from you except your presence at the events my mother will schedule. Is that clear?" His words hit like physical blows. Zara felt her cheeks burn with humiliation. "I was just trying to." I know what you were trying to do. Everyone tries to help. Everyone looks at me like I'm broken. Like I'm some charity case that needs saving. He threw his napkin down, food forgotten. You're here because I need to keep my grandfather happy. Because I need to maintain control of my company. That's it. Don't confuse this arrangement with anything resembling a real relationship. Can you imagine being treated like you're invisible by the person you just married? What would you do? Comment below and smash that like button because this story is about to take a turn nobody expected. Zara's throat tightened with emotion, but she refused to let him see her cry. She wouldn't give him that satisfaction. I understand perfectly, Mr. Huang. I'm here for a job. Nothing more. You've made that abundantly clear. Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise maybe? Or respect. But it vanished so quickly Zara thought she might have imagined it. Kai turned his attention back to his plate, dismissing her completely. The rest of the meal passed in suffocating silence. Every scrape of fork against plate felt deafening. Every breath felt too loud. When Kai finally finished eating, he simply wheeled himself away without a word. No goodnight. No acknowledgement. Nothing. Zara sat alone at that enormous table, surrounded by luxury, and felt more alone than she'd ever felt in her entire life. She retreated to her small room and tried to call Lily. Her sister answered on the second ring, her voice bright and excited. Zara, how's the new job? Is the house amazing? It's different, Zara managed, forcing cheerfulness into her voice. Really different. But the family seems nice. The lie tasted bitter on her tongue. I miss you already, Lily said. But I'm so proud of you. And guess what? The hospital called. They scheduled my surgery. They said some anonymous donor is covering everything. Can you believe it? It's like a miracle. Zara's eyes filled with tears. Not a miracle. A transaction. Her freedom in exchange for Lily's life. That's wonderful, Lily. That's so wonderful. They talked for 20 more minutes before Lily had to go. When the call ended, Zara felt the weight of everything crashing down on her. She was married to a man who despised her. Living in a house where she wasn't wanted. Trapped in a gilded cage with no escape for 2 years. She curled up on the bed and let herself cry, muffling the sounds with her pillow so no one would hear. But sleep wouldn't come. Hours passed. Midnight came and went. Zara's mind wouldn't stop racing. Finally, at 2 in the morning, she gave up. Maybe exploring the house would help. Maybe moving would quiet her thoughts. She crept through the dark hallways, bare feet silent on cold marble floors. The house was like a museum at night. Beautiful and dead. She found a library, a home theater, a gym with equipment she didn't recognize. And then she saw light spilling from under a door at the end of a long corridor. Curiosity overcame caution. She approached quietly and heard the rapid clicking of keys. Through the crack in the door, she could see Kai. He sat at multiple computer screens, his face illuminated by blue light, his fingers flying across keyboards. He looked different like this. Focused. Alive. Not the cold, bitter man from dinner, but someone else entirely. Someone consumed by whatever he was creating. Are you going to stand there all night, or are you going to come in? Kai's voice startled her so badly, she almost gasped. He'd known she was there. Heat flooded Zara's cheeks as she pushed the door open. I'm sorry. I couldn't sleep. I didn't mean to disturb you. Yet here you are. Disturbing me. But his tone wasn't as harsh as before. He sounded tired more than angry. He wheeled away from the computers and really looked at her for the first time. Zara was suddenly aware that she was wearing old pajamas and no makeup. Her natural hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She probably looked ridiculous. What are you working on? She asked, trying to fill the awkward silence. Code. For a new AI system. He studied her face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. You couldn't sleep because of dinner. Because of what I said. It wasn't a question. Zara lifted her chin, refusing to show weakness. I couldn't sleep because I'm in a strange place. Your words have nothing to do with it. You're a terrible liar. The ghost of something that might have been a smile touched his lips. Then it vanished. Sit down. It wasn't a request. Zara perched on the edge of a leather chair, her body tense and ready to flee. Kai wheeled closer, and in the soft light of the study, she could see the exhaustion etched into his face. The shadows under his eyes. The tension in his jaw. He looked like someone who hadn't truly rested in years. I owe you an apology, he said quietly. The words seemed to cost him something. What I said at dinner was cruel. You were trying to be kind, and I threw it back in your face. Zara blinked, stunned. This wasn't what she'd expected. I shouldn't have assumed you needed help. Everyone assumes that. You're not wrong for thinking it. He rubbed his face with both hands. But you need to understand something. This arrangement, this marriage, it's not what I wanted. It's what I have to do. My grandfather will only let me keep control of my company if I'm married. If I appear stable, settled, and I can't lose that company. It's all I have left. So you bought a wife. The words came out harsher than Zara intended. Yes, I bought a wife. Just like you sold yourself for money. His eyes met hers, dark and intense. Let's not pretend either of us is here for noble reasons. We're both using each other. At least we can be honest about that. The truth of his words stung because he was right. Completely right. Zara looked away, unable to hold his gaze. What do you want from me, Mr. Huang? Kai, if we're married, you should at least use my first name. He wheeled back to his desk and pulled out a black card from a drawer. This is yours. No limit. Buy whatever you need. Go wherever you want. I don't care. Just show up when my mother schedules family events and play your part. The rest of the time, we stay out of each other's way. Separate lives under the same roof. Would you take this deal? Freedom and money, but no real connection? Let us know in the comments and hit that subscribe button, because what Kai does next changes everything. Zara took the card, the black plastic cool against her fingers. It felt wrong somehow, like accepting payment for something she couldn't quite name. And after 2 years? After 2 years, you get your freedom and $300,000. We divorce quietly. You sign an NDA. We never speak again. Kai's expression was unreadable. You get to disappear back to your life. I get to keep my company. Everyone wins. Everyone wins, Zara repeated softly. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like losing something she couldn't even identify yet. Kai turned back to his computers, effectively dismissing her again. But then he paused. Your sister, Lily. The surgery is scheduled for next week. Zara's head snapped up. How did you? I read your file. I know why you're here. Why you agreed to this. His voice was carefully neutral. I've arranged for Dr. Sarah Chun to handle the surgery. Best cardiac surgeon in the country. Your sister will have the best care possible. Emotion clogged Zara's throat. Thank you. That means everything to me. It's just money, Zara. That's all it is. That's all any of this is. But something in his voice suggested he was trying to convince himself as much as her. You should get some sleep. You look exhausted. Zara stood, clutching the black card. She should leave. Should go back to her room. But something made her pause at the door. Can I ask you something? Kai didn't turn around. If you must. Those photos in the hallway. The ones of you before. Rock climbing. Sailing. You looked happy. What happened to that person? The silence stretched so long Zara thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough with suppressed emotion. He died in the accident. Same as Marcus did. There's nothing left of who I was before. I don't believe that, Zara said softly. Then you're naive. Kai's shoulders were rigid with tension. Good night, Zara. This time, the dismissal was final. Zara left, closing the door quietly behind her. But as she walked back to her room, she couldn't stop thinking about the pain she'd heard in his voice. The way he talked about himself like he was already dead. Like the accident hadn't just taken his ability to walk, but had taken his entire identity. The next few weeks passed in a strange, disconnected routine. Zara barely saw Kai. He worked in his study most of the time, emerging only for meals that he ate in silence before disappearing again. Ms. Park remained cold and distant. The other staff members followed her lead, treating Zara like an unwelcome guest rather than the lady of the house. But Lily's surgery was successful. Dr. Chun called Zara personally to tell her. Perfect results. Complete recovery expected. Lily would live, would thrive, would have a normal life. Zara cried for an hour straight, overwhelmed with relief and gratitude and guilt all mixed together. She wanted to thank Kai properly, wanted to tell him what his money, his connections, his help had meant. But every time she tried to approach him, he shut her down. Polite but distant. A wall she couldn't breach. Then one morning, Zara woke to find an email from Mrs. Huang. Grandfather Huang's 80th birthday party. 3 weeks away. Black tie event. 200 guests. Zara's stomach dropped. This was it. Her first real test. Her first time playing the devoted wife in front of Kai's family and the world. She spent the next days in a panic. She had nothing to wear. Didn't know how to act. Didn't know what was expected. Finally, she gathered her courage and knocked on Kai's study door. Come in. His voice was distracted. Kai sat surrounded by screens, code scrolling across multiple monitors. He looked tired, dark circles prominent under his eyes. When he saw it was Zara, something shifted in his expression. Not quite annoyance, but close to it. I need help, Zara said before she could lose her nerve. Your grandfather's party. I don't know what to wear. How to act. I don't want to embarrass you. Kai studied her for a long moment. My mother will send a stylist. They'll handle your clothes and appearance. As for how to act, just smile and stay close to me. Let me do the talking. Will your grandfather believe we're really married? We barely look at each other. My grandfather believes what he wants to believe. And he wants to believe I've found someone who makes me happy. Kai's laugh was bitter. Just play your part, Zara. That's all I'm asking. What if I can't? What if I mess this up? The vulnerability in her voice surprised even herself. For the first time, Kai's expression softened slightly. You won't. You're stronger than you think. Then, as if realizing he'd shown too much kindness, he turned back to his screens. Was there anything else? Zara should have left. Should have taken the dismissal and gone. But instead, she found herself saying, You're working yourself to death. When was the last time you slept? That's not your concern. Maybe not. But I notice things. You look exhausted. You barely eat. You push everyone away. Zara moved closer, her voice gentle. I know you don't want my concern or my pity. But I'm here anyway. And I see you. Kai's hands stilled on the keyboard. Don't do that. Do what? Act like you care. Act like I'm something more than a paycheck to you. His voice was hard, but Zara heard the pain underneath. We have an arrangement. Let's not complicate it with fake emotions. The words hurt more than they should have. Because somewhere over the past weeks, Zara's feelings had shifted. She'd started to see past Kai's walls to the broken, hurting person underneath. Started to care despite herself. But she couldn't say that. Couldn't admit that this arrangement was becoming something more complicated than she'd ever intended. Have you ever started to care for someone who pushes you away? Drop a comment and like this video because the birthday party is going to change everything between them. The day of the party arrived faster than Zara wanted. A team of stylists descended on the mansion like a perfectly coordinated army. They spent hours on her hair, her makeup, her nails. The dress they'd selected was stunning. Deep emerald green that hugged her curves and flowed to the floor. Elegant. Expensive. Nothing like anything Zara had ever worn in her life. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked like she belonged in Kai's world. Like she could actually be the wife of a billionaire. But inside, her stomach twisted with nerves. This was all a performance. An elaborate lie. And she had to sell it convincingly. Kai was waiting in the foyer when she came down the stairs. He wore a perfectly tailored black tuxedo that made him look devastating. For a moment, just a moment, his eyes widened when he saw her. Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Appreciation. But it vanished so quickly Zara thought she'd imagined it. You look acceptable, he said, his voice carefully neutral. You look acceptable too, Zara replied, matching his tone. But her heart was racing. He looked more than acceptable. He looked incredible. The drive to the party venue took 30 minutes. They sat in silence, the tension thick between them. Finally, Kai spoke. My grandfather will ask questions. About how we met. When I proposed. Don't overthink your answers. Just follow my lead. What's the story? We met through my mother. You were her caregiver. We fell in love gradually. I proposed 6 months ago. Simple. Believable. Kai's jaw was tight. And Zara? Whatever happens tonight, whatever anyone says to you, don't show weakness. These people are sharks. They'll sense vulnerability and attack. The warning made Zara's anxiety spike even higher. What kind of people are we talking about? Rich people. Powerful people. People who see everyone else as either useful or irrelevant. His voice was flat. You're my wife now. That makes you a target. Some will try to befriend you to get to me. Others will try to tear you down because they don't think you belong. Don't trust anyone. Not even you. The question slipped out before Zara could stop it. Kai finally looked at her, really looked at her. Especially not me. The venue was a 5-star hotel with a ballroom that looked like something from a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers. Gold accents everywhere. Flowers that probably cost more than Zara's car. And people. So many people. All of them dripping with wealth and confidence. Zara felt every eye turn to them when they entered. Heard the whispers start immediately. They weren't even trying to be subtle about it. Women in designer gowns leaned toward each other, their gazes sharp and assessing. Men in expensive suits evaluated Zara like she was a stock they were considering investing in. Kai's hand found hers, his grip firm and commanding. Smile, he murmured. Like you're happy to be here. Zara forced her lips into what she hoped was a convincing smile. Kai wheeled through the crowd with practiced ease, stopping to greet people, introducing Zara with a possessiveness that felt almost real. My wife, Zara. The words sounded strange coming from his lips, like he was trying them on for size. Then they reached Grandfather Huang. He sat in a high-backed chair like a king on a throne, surrounded by family members. He was smaller than Zara expected, elderly and frail-looking, but his eyes were sharp and missed nothing. When those eyes landed on Zara, she felt stripped bare, like he could see every secret, every lie, every desperate reason she was really here. Grandfather, this is Zara, my wife. Kai's voice held a warmth Zara had never heard before. He was acting, playing his part perfectly. Come closer, child. Grandfather Huang's voice was surprisingly strong. Let me look at you. Zara approached, her heart hammering. The old man studied her face for what felt like an eternity. Then he smiled. You're nervous. Yes, sir. Very nervous. Honesty seemed safer than lies with this man. Good. You should be. My grandson is not an easy man. His eyes moved to Kai with something that looked like affection. But then, you already know that, don't you? I'm learning, Zara said carefully. Grandfather Huang laughed, a dry sound that turned into a cough. Diplomatic. I like her, Kai. She has spirit. He reached out and took Zara's hand. Tell me how you met my stubborn grandson. Zara launched into the rehearsed story, adding small details that made it feel more real. Kai's mother's kindness. The way Kai would sometimes join them for tea. How they'd started talking about books and technology. The lies flowed easier than they should have. Maybe because part of her wished they were true. Grandfather Huang listened intently, nodding occasionally. When Zara finished, he looked at Kai. And when did you know she was the one? Kai didn't hesitate. When she called me out for being insufferable. Most people are afraid to tell me the truth. Zara never has been. His eyes met hers, and for a second, Zara couldn't tell if he was still acting or not. Love built on honesty. That's rare these days. Grandfather Huang released Zara's hand. You have my blessing. Take care of each other. They moved away from the patriarch, and Zara released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. That went well, she whispered. Don't celebrate yet. The night's just starting. Kai's voice was tense. He was right. As they circulated through the party, Zara felt the weight of judgment everywhere. Women sized up her dress, her jewelry, her very existence. Men made inappropriate comments disguised as compliments. Everyone wanted to know about her background, her family, her education. The questions felt like weapons designed to expose her as an imposter. Then Victoria Chen appeared. She was stunning. Tall, elegant, wearing a white dress that probably cost more than Zara's entire wardrobe. Her makeup was flawless. Her smile was venomous. She glided toward them with the confidence of someone who knew she belonged in this world. Can you feel the tension building? Comment below if you've ever felt judged by people who thought they were better than you. Don't forget to subscribe because Victoria is about to make Zara's night a living nightmare. Kai, darling. Victoria's voice was honey-sweet, with poison underneath. It's been too long. Kai's entire body went rigid. Zara felt his hand tighten around hers almost painfully. Victoria, aren't you going to introduce me to your wife? Victoria's pause before the word was deliberate, mocking. Her eyes raked over Zara with undisguised contempt. Though I must say, I was surprised to hear about your sudden marriage. You always said you'd never marry after the accident. People change, Kai said flatly. Victoria laughed, a crystalline sound that made Zara's skin crawl. Indeed they do. Tell me, Zara, is it? How did a caregiver manage to catch the most eligible bachelor in the city? You must have very special skills. The implication was clear. Insulting. Zara felt heat flood her cheeks, but she kept her voice steady. I didn't catch him. We found each other. How romantic. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. And so convenient. Kai needs a wife to satisfy his grandfather. You need money. It's almost like a business transaction. Zara's heart stopped. Did she know? Could she know? Careful, Victoria. Kai's voice dropped to a dangerous level. That's my wife you're insulting. Oh, I'm not insulting anyone. I'm simply observing. Victoria leaned in closer, her perfume overwhelming. You see, Zara, I've known Kai since we were children. I knew him before the accident. When he was whole. When he was himself. You only know this broken version. This shadow of who he used to be. That's enough. Kai started to wheel away, but Victoria stepped in front of him. Does she know, Kai? Does she know what you're really like? How you push everyone away? How you destroyed everything good in your life because you can't accept what happened? Victoria's voice was cruel now, all pretense of sweetness gone. You're going to destroy her too. Just like you destroy everything you touch. Zara couldn't stay silent anymore. Couldn't let this woman tear into Kai like this. You're wrong about him. Victoria turned her predatory gaze on Zara. Excuse me. You're wrong. You say you knew him before, but you don't know him now. You don't see him at all. You just see his wheelchair and you think that's all he is. Zara's voice grew stronger with each word. But he's more than that. He's brilliant. He's building things that will change the world. He's stronger than anyone I've ever met because he survived something that would have destroyed most people. How touching. The little caregiver defending her patient. Victoria's smile was vicious. Does he even let you touch him, Zara? Does he let you in at all? Or does he keep you locked away in a guest room while he pretends you don't exist? The accuracy of the statement hit Zara like a physical blow. Victoria saw her reaction and laughed. I thought so. Some marriage. Some love story. She turned back to Kai. When you're done playing house with your hired wife, you know where to find me. I'll be waiting for the real Kai to come back. If he ever does. She walked away, leaving destruction in her wake. Zara stood frozen, her mind reeling. Around them, people were staring. Whispers spread like wildfire. The perfect facade they'd tried to create was crumbling. We're leaving. Kai's voice was ice cold. But the party. Now. He wheeled toward the exit without waiting to see if she followed. Zara hurried after him, aware of every eye tracking their departure. The drive back to the mansion was suffocating. Kai stared out the window, his jaw clenched so tight Zara worried he'd crack a tooth. She wanted to say something, anything, but no words seemed adequate. When they arrived home, Kai disappeared into his study without a word. Zara stood in the foyer, still in her beautiful dress, feeling like the biggest fool in the world. She'd defended him, stood up for him against Victoria's cruelty, and he couldn't even look at her. She should go to her room, should let him be. But anger was building inside her now. Anger at Victoria. Anger at this whole situation. Anger at Kai for shutting her out when she was trying to help. Zara marched to his study and threw open the door without knocking. Kai sat in the darkness, no lights on, just the glow from the city through the windows. You don't get to do that, she said, her voice shaking with emotion. Get out, Zara. No. I stood there and defended you. I meant every word I said. And you just ran away like I was the enemy. You shouldn't have said anything. Kai still wouldn't look at her. You shouldn't have engaged with her. What was I supposed to do? Let her tear you apart. Zara moved closer. She was cruel and wrong, and someone needed to say so. She wasn't wrong. The words came out broken. Everything she said was true. I am broken. I am a shadow. And I am going to destroy you if you keep trying to save me. I'm not trying to save you. Zara's voice cracked. I'm trying to see you. There's a difference. Finally, Kai looked at her. Really looked at her. In the dim light, she could see the pain written across his face. The vulnerability he tried so hard to hide. Why do you care? This is just a job to you. Just a transaction. It started that way, Zara admitted. But it's not anymore. Somewhere along the way, you became more than that. You became real to me. Don't. Kai's voice was pleading now. Don't make this complicated. Don't make me hope for things that can't happen. Why can't they happen? Zara knelt beside his wheelchair, forcing him to meet her eyes. Why are you so determined to be alone? Because everyone leaves. The words exploded from him. Everyone looks at me, at this wheelchair, and eventually they all leave. My friends. Victoria. Everyone. They can't handle the reality of what I am now. And I can't survive being abandoned again. I won't. Has anyone ever pushed you away because they were afraid of being hurt? Comment your thoughts and hit subscribe because what Zara says next will break down all of Kai's walls. Zara's heart shattered for him. For this proud, brilliant man who'd been so hurt that he'd built walls no one could scale. I'm not going anywhere, Kai. Not for 2 years anyway. That's the contract, remember? He let out a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. The contract. Right. How could I forget? And maybe. Zara took a breath, terrified of what she was about to say. Maybe after 2 years, I still won't want to leave. Did you ever consider that? Kai's eyes widened. Don't say things you don't mean. I mean it. These past weeks, I've seen you, Kai. Not the wheelchair. Not the money. Not the bitter man you pretend to be. I've seen the person who schedules surgery for a stranger's sister without being asked. Who works 18-hour days because he wants to change the world. Who plays music at 3 in the morning when he thinks no one can hear. Zara's voice softened. I've seen someone worth knowing. Worth caring about. You barely know me, Kai whispered, but his defenses were crumbling. Then let me know you better. Stop pushing me away every time I get close. Stop running every time something real happens between us. Zara reached for his hand tentatively. This time, he didn't pull away. I know this started as a transaction, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Kai stared at their joined hands like he couldn't quite believe it was happening. I don't know how to do this. How to let someone in. I've spent 2 years building walls. Then we'll take them down. One brick at a time. Zara squeezed his hand gently. But you have to let me try. You have to stop treating me like I'm the enemy. For a long moment, Kai said nothing. Then, slowly, carefully, he lifted her hand and pressed it to his chest. Zara could feel his heart racing beneath her palm. I'm terrified, he admitted. Of this. Of you. Of wanting something that might disappear. I'm terrified too, Zara confessed. This wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to feel anything for you. But I do. And I think you feel something too. Something real. I do. The admission seemed to cost him everything. God help me, I do. I have for weeks now. Watching you move through my house, bringing life to these dead spaces. Hearing you laugh on the phone with your sister. Seeing you defend me tonight like I was worth defending. His voice broke. You make me want to be more than this broken thing I've become. You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. Zara moved closer, her face inches from his. And you don't have to heal alone anymore. The air between them crackled with tension, with possibility. Kai's hand came up to cup her face, his touch gentle and uncertain. If I do this, if I let you in, I don't know if I can survive you leaving. Then I won't leave. Zara leaned into his touch. Not unless you make me. I'm very good at making people leave, Kai said, but there was the hint of a smile on his lips now. A real smile. The first one Zara had ever seen from him. Then I'll be very stubborn about staying. She smiled back. They stayed like that for a moment, suspended in time, both afraid to move forward and unable to move back. Then Kai pulled her closer, his forehead resting against hers. I don't know how to do this, he whispered. How to be with someone. How to be vulnerable. How to be anything other than angry and alone. We'll figure it out together. Zara's heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. No more walls. No more running. Just honesty. Can you do that? I can try. Kai's thumb traced her cheekbone. But I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to push you away out of habit. I'm going to be difficult and stubborn and impossible. I know. I'll push back. I'll be stubborn too. I'll refuse to let you hide. Zara's smile widened. We'll probably fight a lot. Probably. Kai's lips were so close to hers now. This is a terrible idea. The worst, Zara agreed. We should maintain professional distance. Keep this as a business arrangement. Absolutely. That would be the smart thing to do. Neither of them moved away. The tension built until it was almost unbearable. Then Kai closed the final distance and kissed her. Soft at first, tentative, like he was afraid she might disappear. But when Zara kissed him back, threading her fingers through his hair, the kiss deepened, became something real and desperate, and full of all the emotion they'd both been holding back. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Kai rested his forehead against hers again. This changes everything. I know. Zara's voice was shaky with emotion and desire and terror. Are you okay with that? I don't know. Ask me again when my heart stops racing. But he was smiling, really smiling, and it transformed his entire face. Made him look younger, happier, alive. They stayed in his study for hours that night, talking in a way they never had before. Really talking. Kai told her about the accident. About Marcus, his best friend since childhood. About the guilt that ate at him every day. About the physical therapy he'd abandoned because it hurt too much and he didn't see the point. Zara told him about her parents. About raising Lily alone. About the fear that consumed her when she thought she might lose her sister. About the shame she'd felt agreeing to this marriage. Selling herself like she was worth nothing more than money. You're worth everything, Kai said fiercely. Don't ever think otherwise. So are you, Zara replied. Your wheelchair doesn't change that. The accident doesn't change that. As dawn broke through the windows, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, they finally acknowledged how exhausted they both were. Kai wheeled Zara back to her room, their hands still linked, neither willing to let go. At her door, he kissed her again. Slower this time. Sweeter. A promise of something more. Tomorrow, he said. We start over. No more walls. No more pretending. Tomorrow, Zara agreed. But Kai, we're still going to have to deal with Victoria. She knows something's off about our marriage. She's going to dig. Kai's expression darkened. Let her dig. She won't find anything concrete. And even if she does, I don't care anymore. Some things are worth fighting for. Are you feeling the chemistry? Drop a like if you're rooting for them and subscribe because the real challenge is just beginning. The next few weeks transformed everything. Kai stopped hiding in his study. They started having breakfast together every morning, real conversations flowing easily now. He helped Zara with her online business courses. She became his accountability partner for physical therapy, pushing him when he wanted to quit, celebrating every small victory. The staff noticed the change. Ms. Park's disapproving frown softened into something almost like approval. The other employees started greeting Zara warmly. The house itself felt different. Warmer. More alive. Zara filled the empty spaces with plants and music. Kai didn't complain. In fact, he seemed to like it. Lily came to visit after her recovery, healthy and glowing with life. She watched Kai and Zara together, saw the way they looked at each other, the easy affection that had developed between them. When she and Zara were alone, Lily grabbed her sister's hand. You're in love with him, Lily said. Not a question. A statement. Zara couldn't deny it anymore. Yes, I am. I know it's complicated and messy and probably stupid, but it's not stupid. Lily hugged her tight. I can see it in your eyes. In his too. He looks at you like you hung the moon. That's not fake, Zara. That's real. But reality had a way of intruding on happiness. 6 months into the marriage, Victoria reappeared with vengeance in her eyes. She'd been digging, just as Zara feared, and she'd found something. The call came on a Tuesday morning. Kai's lawyer, sounding panicked. Victoria had obtained a copy of the marriage contract. How? They didn't know. But she had it. Proof that the marriage was a business arrangement. And she was threatening to take it to grandfather Huang and the press unless Kai agreed to her demands. What does she want? Zara asked, her stomach twisting with dread. Kai's face was pale, but his voice was steady. She wants me to drop a business deal. A merger that would compete with her company. She'll lose millions if it goes through. So drop it. Zara didn't hesitate. Whatever it costs, it's not worth this. It's not about the money. Kai wheeled to the window, staring out at the city. This merger would bring medical technology to underserved communities. It's everything I've been working toward for the past year. It's my way of making something good come from the accident. From Marcus's death. Zara felt tears prick her eyes. Of course it was about more than business. Of course Kai had been trying to create meaning from his tragedy. There has to be another way. There isn't. If the contract comes out, my grandfather will never forgive me. I'll lose the company. Everything I've built. He turned to face her. And you'll be dragged through the mud too. The press will destroy you. I don't care about the press. I do. Kai's voice was fierce. I won't let her hurt you. I won't let anyone hurt you. The doorbell rang. Ms. Park answered it, and moments later, Victoria swept into the house like she owned it. She looked triumphant, a predator who'd cornered her prey. Kai, darling. And Zara. How domestic. Victoria held up a folder. I have something you might be interested in. Your marriage contract. Very interesting reading. Especially the part about the $500,000 payment. What do you want, Victoria? Kai's voice was ice. I already told your lawyer. Drop the merger, or I expose you both. Imagine what grandfather Huang will say when he learns his beloved grandson lied to him, hired a fake wife, made a mockery of marriage and family values. Her smile was cruel. He'll disinherit you, cut you off completely. You'll have nothing. I'd rather have nothing than give in to blackmail. Kai's hands gripped his wheelchair. Do your worst. Victoria's eyes flashed with anger. You're willing to throw everything away? Your company? Your legacy? For what? For her. She gestured dismissively at Zara. Yes. The word was simple. Final. For her. And for the thousands of people who'll benefit from the medical technology. Some things matter more than money or reputation. Zara's heart swelled with love and terror. He was willing to lose everything. For her. For his principles. But she couldn't let him do it. Wait. Zara stepped forward, her mind racing. You want to destroy us? Fine. But let's be honest about what this really is. You're not doing this for business. You're doing this because you're bitter. Because Kai moved on, and you couldn't handle it. Victoria's face twisted with rage. You know nothing about. I know you're the one who left him after the accident. I know you walked away when he needed support the most. And now you can't stand that he's found happiness without you. Zara's voice grew stronger. So go ahead. Expose the contract. Tell everyone. But I'll tell them my side too. And what side is that? Victoria sneered. That yes, this marriage started as a business arrangement. But it became real. We fell in love. Actually fell in love. Something you clearly know nothing about. Zara moved to stand beside Kai, her hand finding his. You can expose the beginning of our story, but you can't change what it became. What we became. Victoria's confident mask slipped slightly. No one will believe you. I will. The voice came from the doorway. Grandfather Huang stood there, leaning on his cane, his expression unreadable. Behind him, Mrs. Huang looked worried but not surprised. Grandfather. Kai's voice was hoarse with shock. What are you doing here? I came to wish you happy anniversary. 6 months married. The old man moved into the room slowly. But I see we have a drama instead. How entertaining. Victoria recovered quickly. Mr. Huang, you need to see this. Your grandson has been lying to you. This marriage is a fraud. He paid her. I know. Grandfather Huang's words stopped Victoria cold. You think I'm a foolish old man? I've known from the beginning. The room fell into stunned silence. Zara felt her legs go weak. He knew? He'd always known. I suggested it. Grandfather Huang looked at his grandson with something like affection. I told your mother to arrange this. To find someone who would see you, not your money or your condition. Someone who needed you as much as you needed them. Kai looked shattered. You what? A marriage that starts as a contract but becomes real. That's stronger than most love stories. You had to find your way to each other without the pressure of expectations. Without the burden of romance clouding your judgment. The old man turned to Victoria. And you, my dear, have failed. Because what started as business has clearly become love. Anyone with eyes can see it. Victoria's face flushed with humiliation and anger. This isn't over. Oh, but it is. Grandfather Huang's voice turned cold. You attempted to blackmail my grandson. To destroy a marriage I sanctioned. I have friends in very high places, Miss Chen. Friends who would be very interested in your business practices. I suggest you leave. Now. And never contact this family again. Victoria fled, her designer heels clicking frantically on the marble floor. When the door slammed behind her, the tension finally broke. Zara couldn't stop shaking. You knew. This whole time you knew. I suspected from the beginning. I confirmed it within a week. Grandfather Huang smiled. But I saw how you looked at each other at my party. How you defended him. How he protected you. That's not acting. That's real. Kai wheeled forward. Why didn't you say something? Because you needed to figure it out yourselves. Needed to choose each other without obligation. Without pressure. The old man placed a hand on Kai's shoulder. You've been hiding since the accident. Punishing yourself. This marriage, this girl, she brought you back to life. That's worth more than any business deal or family obligation. Mrs. Huang moved to embrace them both. I'm sorry for the deception, but I'd do it again. You're happy, Kai? Actually happy. I haven't seen that in 2 years. Later that night, after Kai's family had left, after the adrenaline had faded, Zara and Kai sat together on the terrace under the stars. The same spot where they'd almost kissed months ago. We don't have to pretend anymore, Kai said softly. The contract doesn't matter. Grandfather knows. Victoria's gone. We could end this. You could leave. Take the money and go. Zara turned to face him fully. Is that what you want? No. The word came out fierce and immediate. God, no. I want you to stay. Not because of a contract. Not because of money. But because you choose to. Because you want to be here. With me. I do want that. Zara cupped his face in her hands. I choose you, Kai. Not your money. Not this house. You. Every stubborn, brilliant, difficult part of you. Even though I'm going to need this wheelchair for the rest of my life. Even though I'll always be limited in what I can do. You're not limited. You're different. And I love every part of who you are. Zara kissed him softly. So yes. Even though. Always. Forever. Kai pulled her close, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world. I love you, Zara Bennett Huang. I think I have since you told Victoria her behavior was cheap. Zara laughed through happy tears. I love you too. I think I have since you scheduled Lily's surgery without asking for anything in return. They sat together as the stars came out, no longer bound by contract, but by something infinitely stronger. Choice. Love. The decision to build a life together not because they had to, but because they wanted to. 18 months later, they renewed their vows. A real ceremony this time, with Lily as maid of honor and grandfather Huang beaming with satisfaction. When Kai stood with support bars for their first dance, the room erupted in applause. And when he whispered, "You showed me I could do anything," Zara knew she'd found something she never expected to find when she signed that contract. She'd found home. She'd found love. She'd found herself. What started as a transaction became the greatest love story. If this touched your heart, hit that like button, drop a comment telling us what you thought, and subscribe for more incredible stories. Sometimes the best things in life start in the most unexpected ways. Thank you for watching until the very end.